No,
You.
solved
we're
everything.
waiting for you. You're making the quorum. You're giving us the quorum. Now we can start.
All right. So call to order, and we have an agenda. It's the typical agenda. Other than our guest, Mary Pat DiCarlo from DDS, will give us a workforce report. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Anyone?
I'll do that.
Second.
And a second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. The next item on the agenda is, of course, to approve the minutes from the prior meeting. And let's go with somebody make a motion to approve the minutes. And then if there's anyone wants to make amendments or corrections, we can entertain that. And then if not, we'll just have somebody second and we can approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Excellent.
I made a correction to the minutes.
Go ahead.
Yes, that will be sent out with the next, when I post it, that will be incorporated. You were in attendance at the last meeting.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other changes to the minutes or suggested changes that we need to discuss?
Nope.
Nope. Hearing none, I will second the motion to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Correction. Aye. So obviously the correction. And we now turn our meeting over to our distinguished guest from DDS, Mary Pat DiCarlo. You're up.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. So I met with this group probably shortly after I came to DDS in this position as Director of Workforce Strategies. And so Shannon invited me back to give you all an update on what efforts have been made, what challenges we've faced. And so I'm just gonna, kind of show you everything that we've been working on. And I'm pretty excited about some of the things that we've been able to accomplish, especially in the last several months. So the first few months, I spent a lot of time doing research, communicating with other states to find out, what their struggles were, how they were addressing those struggles. Because as we know, there's a workforce crisis across the nation when it comes to direct support professionals, as well as other positions that fall under the direct care umbrella. In Connecticut alone, we figured right now we need about 5,000 DSP positions to be filled just in the private sector. So all of the work that I am doing is for the private sector, where we are not looking to recruit for DDS staff at this time. So everything we're doing is for the benefit of the providers. So I have a quick, I have a little slideshow to kind of go through what's been happening. So I'm going to share this with you. All right, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the goal, what we have been able to really accomplish in the last few months is a marketing campaign. DDS had some ARPA funds that they dedicated to developing a marketing campaign to educate the community on the roles of the direct support professional. One of the things that I found very early on, when I started talking to other state agencies, internal Connecticut state agencies like DPH or DEMIS, Department of Labor, people had not heard the term DSP. They didn't know what that was. There were people that assumed anybody who worked in a group home or a day program was a CNA. Okay, so as this group knows, that's not the case. So my first goal was to educate folks to this job title and what this job entails. We want to implement a way for community members to gain information and apply directly to the qualified providers. And we obviously need to increase the number of potential DSPs. So we worked with the McDowell organization and a few others. This is the logo that we're using. A future in direct support, make it your career. And the campaign kicked off just about 2.5 weeks ago, and we're starting to see some really good feedback. Like I said, we worked with the McDowell Marketing Agency, the Latino Way, and the Ethical Influence Connecticut to develop the product. It was important to me that the product that we developed was Connecticut based, that we were showing real Connecticut DSPs. We were showing real individuals who are receiving services from these different providers. So we worked with several qualified providers on the filming, the photographs, the content, all of that. All of the materials that have been developed as part of this campaign will be available to the providers to use themselves. They'll be able to put their own logo on the materials and their website. So that will all be available to them to use however they like. So here's an example first of a couple of pictures. The first guys were from Midstate ARC, one of their day programs. We had a really good time with all of them getting the pictures done. And these young ladies are from Aspire. Actually, the individual is somebody I had worked with for a long time ago. So it was great to see her. So these pictures are used in multiple different ways. So we're doing billboards, we're doing print ads. We have commercials, we have radio commercials, we have social media. Social media has been great. And we even today, Commissioner Chef was on Channel 2, Great Day Connecticut. It's a 3:00 daytime show. And he's going to be, so he did that today. He will be on Channel 30, I think sometime next week. And then Fox a couple of times over the next month. So it was great for him to be there to really explain what we're trying to do, explain what a DSP is, and encourage people to take a look at our website and to consider becoming a DSP. Commercials. So here's just a couple of other photographs, but if I'm going to show you the commercials that are now being played. I don't know if anybody's seen anything yet. I hope so. But let's see. Can I do it for me? Oh, here we go. There we go.
Are you guys getting the sound from this? I'm not.
No,
I
I can hear not.
Okay. Hold on.
I thought it was me.
Okay. I don't. I could hear it. You could see it, right?
Yeah.
I could see it.
yes.
I don't. I don't know how to do that.
See on
Anybody
the
have
bot,
any-
see on there if you could change the setting there. Perhaps there's like a speaker. Click right on that little wheel that you were just on. Click the settings.
Yeah. Speed,
And
quality.
no, it's not
no.
showing the speaker.
And it,
Uh, Oh, shoot.
See anywhere.
Okay. What I can do is I can get the link to the commercial out to everybody. And you can view it then. Let me just double check and see if the other one might work better.
If you send us the link,
Uh-huh.
it's not proprietary, like we could distribute that, right? I mean, we could-
Absolutely. Yeah, the
Yeah,
more people,
okay,
the
just-
better. I would
Yeah,
love
no,
it.
I would have assumed so, but I wasn't sure, so I
Yeah.
wanted to ask, because first thing I'll do is send that link to Star, the agency I'm involved with,
Uh-huh.
and have that available. They can stick it on their website, they could send it out, they could do a lot of things with it.
Right. And there's going to be more materials. I'm hoping that next week the providers, everything's going to be put on the DDS website. They can go in
So
and
they
pick
could
and
just
choose whatever they
vote
want to
what they want.
use. And going forward. So let me know if you hear this. A different format. Let's see. Oh. Can you hear it?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I've had trouble with this with Teams before trying to play footage. So there is a way to do it. I just don't know. There's something you have to click somewhere.
And it's hard because when I went through this, I checked to make sure everything was working. So of course I can hear it, but you can't.
Right.
So
Right.
unfortunate. Okay.
I have a question
Sure.
about the distribution. You mentioned that next week everything will be on the site and private provider agencies can go there. My question is that the only way they get the information, or are you automatically going to send it to all the private provider agencies?
Well, we're not going to
Because they
automatic.
might not be aware that it's there. They
Uh,
might not come to the site looking for it because they might not know it exists.
Right. So they're going to be receiving a letter. All of the providers will receive a letter
Okay.
that says everything here is now available. They have been
Got it.
getting letters about this as we're going along.
Okay.
So they're going to get that letter that says when everything is up and ready for them to use. So, okay.
Great.
All right. The other point I wanted to make is that when we developed the marketing, it was important to do it in multiple languages. So it's been done in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Polish. Okay. And so it's been targeted to some of these areas, to certain areas in the different languages. But for the most part, the print stuff is Spanish and English. Okay. So you might wonder, okay, we do all this great advertising, then what do people do with it? Well, part of the advertising, it's going to send you to a job board that has been developed by DDS and State IT Group. To go to the job board, go to the website, it'll be in the ads, and it's going to bring you to this page. So the job board has been developed for the qualified providers to post their jobs. This is not to post any state jobs. And right now, it's all focused on direct care jobs. We will post management position, frontline manager positions, because they meet the definition of having some direct care responsibility. So all of these jobs are for direct care at this point. We presently have 76 of the providers that are participating in the job board, and we have over 270 jobs posted. Now, you might ask, how many applications have they gotten? Still early, and I don't have that data yet. I'm hoping to get it soon, but I am hearing, actually, I heard from one of the other regional directors earlier in the week that one provider has seen over 40 applicants coming through this process. So we will be doing a survey of all of the participating providers within probably in another month. And to get a sense of how many applicants did they get, how many hires, what do they think needs to be changed? Can we do anything better? All of that kind of stuff, because we can always make some tweaks to things as we go forward. But as you can see on the job board, it's the name of the agency, the job position, the location. So somebody could go in to this job board, an applicant, and they can sort by towns. If I want, I want a job in Waterbury or the greater Waterbury area, you sort, and then all the different agencies in that area that are looking to hire, you'll get those applications. Okay. And then
Hey,
when
Mary Pat, can I ask a quick question
Sure.
about this? So the locations, and I'm just making sure because this is what it looks like. The location component is the actual location of the job itself. So for instance, if it's a group home, then it's that house is in North Haven or Hampton, as
Yeah.
opposed to the headquarters of the
Yes. Yep.
agency.
So
I'm only asking that question because the great database that DDS maintains for oh gosh, sorry, if you can hear my dog being noisy, apologies, he's being whiny. The database that you guys maintain for day programs has that glitch in it where it cites the location, which is the headquarters of the agency, which may have nothing to do with where the day programs are located. And so
Yeah.
that was a problematic thing when searching. So I'm just wanting to make sure that that's how you
Right.
guys handle this.
So if you see on here, this will say North Haven, and I know that Aspire's headquarters are in Hamden, but they also have several group homes in North Haven. So one of the things that we had encouraged the providers to do, because some may have a lot of positions, like 30 positions open, we didn't want them to necessarily post all of the positions, but let's say, okay, I've got 5 first shift group home openings in North Haven. So do it generically, and then they'll keep those up because you're always looking for one of those types of positions, right? So most providers took that advice and did more of a generic type of posting. So that is that. So, let me show you.
Can you scroll down? Yeah, I'm curious.
Sure.
Okay. It has the hour of pay. Okay.
And I'm sorry, this one is kind of small. It was interesting, the hourly wage, we debated whether or not to have those posted. Because we know that providers pay different wages. There's the minimum, but they're paying other wages, and some providers are paying more than others. And so we didn't want to be responsible and force people, like if they were on the lower end, to post their hourly wage if they didn't want to. So they chose to post that wage. Okay. So then at the bottom of each posting, you can click and it will send you to their job openings, that agency's job openings. And then you follow the directions there. So you can click on something, you can apply, you can get more detail, etc. Any questions on that?
Yeah,
Can
I
you
have a
show us?
question.
Oh, sorry, Sue. Go ahead.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
here's my question. So right now, this is for the direct support professionals, and at some point it might be for administrators or supervisors, whatever you call them.
Yes.
What about for nurses?
No, we're at this point, it's really the focus is the direct support workers, because that's where, I mean, I know there's a need for nursing, but this was the focus. So we don't have any advertisements going on for provider nursing that would then lead them to the job board. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
um,
I understand that, but that you might not get there by means of an ad for a nurse, but can they post nurses' openings on the board?
it would be something that we would talk about eventually, but I think right now the focus is that frontline manager on down. Again, it'd be the same for behaviorists, right? We're going to post jobs for BCBAs. Those professions also
Well,
have
no,
their
but
own.
see, what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about a nurse who goes place to place. I'm talking about a nurse who is assigned a specific group home and works in that home full time. That's the
Like
kind
for,
of nursing I'm talking about.
like perhaps an LPN that is, doing assigned in the group home only, and that's their job. Is that what you're saying, Sue? Something like
Exactly,
that?
right.
Yeah.
Yes, I think in that case we could. But I think we could do that for LPNs. But RNs, BCBAs, that level of position and education, they have a lot of their own websites in regards to job postings and whatnot. So we really, this is where the focus is. But we can consider that if someone approached us and asked us that, we would, certainly discuss it with them.
Mary Pat, can you just show us another agency? I'm just curious, another
Sure.
job. I'm just curious the difference.
Okay. What do you want to say?
I don't know, a CSI in the Torrington area. Do they have anything?
Oh, these aren't in alphabetical order.
Oh,
These were in
okay.
order of the way they were received.
Oh, okay.
All right, here we go. This one. All right, so this one lists several towns. It also says that this is a residential position. Okay. Job requirements and then how to apply. They chose not to post their hourly wage. So it'll be interesting to see if those who posted their hourly wage get more interest than those that didn't.
The other thing Aspire did, I noticed, was posted their benefits, which I
Yes.
imagine is an attractive piece, and these
Yep.
guys also have not.
Uh,
So that'll be
and it's-
as well interesting to see.
Mhm.
So
Right.
question about how this one, in this case, they put 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 or 7 or 8 locations all in one field. Is
Mhm.
your system able, like you were saying, a person might sort on the locations? How would it handle something like this, which is a lot of locations?
Right. So let's go back to locations. Let's just do Bethel. And do and apply. Of course, there's nothing in Bethel. Okay, which I don't believe, but
I think on that one, it listed Bridgeport, the one that Marina
Right.
was talking about. So maybe trying
Yeah, so
Bridgeport and
hold on.
and residential.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So
Okay, so it comes up with even ones that are multiples. That's great.
right, but
Good.
both of these agencies have postings in Bridgeport right now for
Right.
residential direct support workers.
But it picked up the Kennedy Collective one that you just showed us,
Mhm.
which included, but was not only Bridgeport. I was just worried that, again, the database had to be a little bit smart to do
Yeah.
that. So that's
Looks
cool.
like it is.
Yeah,
Good.
it is.
Good.
It's simple and it's smart, which is what we were looking for. So, and just so that you know too, there is a process that all providers, when they post something, it's in draft form, and it has to be reviewed and approved by a few of us at DDS, because we don't want them putting stuff up there that's, not appropriate or unfair or anything like that. So we do review all of the postings.
Who's doing
So
that
if we-
review, Mary Pat?
That would be me and Kevin's admin assistant
Okay, just
for
curious.
right now.
Thank you.
Eventually it'll, probably go to somebody else. But I did want to share, I think I forgot that slide, but with the social media, I was very excited to hear that in the first 2 weeks, we had 5,400,000 impressions, as they call them, looks, and we had 52,000 plus clicks to the job board. So what that means, what happens with all that, I still don't know, and we will be getting more data. So to me, that it's exciting, and it's exciting to me to see 270 jobs posted already. So from what I'm hearing from providers is that they're appreciating this work that's being done on their behalf. And, the hope is that it will, be reflected in their ability to hire. So a few of the other things that I am working on is still the training and standardized training, and the thoughts that eventually we may have like a certification program for DSPs. But we're also looking to do a certified training for all direct care workers. So there are many jobs, direct care jobs in the state that all have the same basic training. The jobs are much different, but the required training, the CPR, the first aid, the HIPAA, workforce violence, sexual harassment, all of those everybody needs, right? So what we want to offer is a standard training that someone could go into and receive the training. They take their certificate and they can go to any of the qualified providers and say, hey, listen, I have 85% of my training done. If you hire me, all you've got to do is train me on the specific program, individual, and maybe agency policies and procedures. So that's going to save the providers a great deal of money. And then if I really get what I want is to have a depository of everyone's trainings. It's all kept in one place. So if I'm working for Marrakesh first shift, but I want to pick up hours at Star on the weekends or evenings, all they have to do is go into that database and see that all my trainings are up to date. And Star then will only have to train me on program-specific trainings. So
That's super smart, and it's kind of
That
what
sounds
CFC does. And that's, I think, really appealing to the workers who've gone through the CFC startup. And then they're like, hey, I can take this to anybody who's got a budget, and I've already done it. So I've gone through the training, the background check, the whatever. So it's a great idea.
Yeah. So we're working on it. Things move along at a little slower pace than I would like, but it's worth the wait. And like I said, I'm really happy with the way the marketing campaign turned out and the job board and all of that. So.
And is there a way to track from the agencies how many came from this program, the ads and everything, so that you could really measure how successful it is?
Well, the agencies will be able to tell that this is coming from the job board. So
I know
that
they
will be,
will. How do you know?
well, we're going to go back and we're going to ask them all.
Okay. So there's a
Um,
way for them to report to you that they got this individual from the job board.
right. Yep. That will
Great.
be happening in a few weeks. There is still more data that could be collected from the actual job board that IT is working on right now, and how to manipulate it and pull it and, get all that information. But yeah, it's there, and I'm hoping that people are going to benefit from this. And I hope the campaign is enough. We were also emphasizing, and in the links I'll send you, you'll hear it, emphasizing that you really can make this a career, that people started out as DSPs. I know Shannon and I both were DSPs at one time, right? And, for 45 years, I've held one of, I mean, every position there has been, basically. And it just gives you that opportunity. There's the opportunity to grow. And you could also take that opportunity and go off and maybe go into the medical field, right? You've got a real interest. I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to become an RN or an LPN or PT. Same with behavioral, right? I'm going to go and study psychology and I'll work on getting my BCBA or whatever. Or many people that just their career, their commitment is being a DSP. So,
I'm just wondering if, I don't know, I'm just thinking about high school,
yeah.
guidance counselors. I
Hmm.
mean, what if they had this, a video or, to
Yep.
introduce to their potential, not going on to college necessarily, but
Right.
this could be a job.
Yep. Well, it's funny you should say that, because just today we made a presentation to CAB, which is the Organization of Educators.
Mhm.
And we had 30 folks on there, anywhere from superintendents to admin assistants to teachers. And we gave them what we call our trusted messenger presentation, which really describes what a DSP is, what the requirements are, what are the, what young folks could get out of this. And especially those that are going to be going to college, but not sure what they want to do. Well, over the summer, part-time, do some hours in a group home, right? And see what it is that interests you. I myself started as a high school senior, right? And going in and helping out in the group homes. And I got hooked. And so that can happen with others, right? And so, yes, we've made that presentation to that organization and they will be distributing it. And then we've also welcomed any other groups, any other school systems, et cetera, want to hear the presentation or want us to tweak the presentation. And I will also be very happy to go in and talk to high schoolers. We're meeting with the Connecticut tech schools to talk about having this, that where they can get their training in the tech school,
That's great.
and then go out. And then still trying to get through to people at adult ed, because I want to make a pitch to them, because there are so many people that are participating in adult ed where English, to learn English as their second language, to get their GEDs, and they need to know about this program and possibly even get their training through the adult ed. So,
Well, I, for one, think this is terrific. It's a
I
great
think it's
effort.
great.
I
thank
think
you.
it's timely, absolutely perfect. And I will spread the word as best I can. I
Right.
noticed there are no job openings in Norwalk, and we're going to change that by tonight.
Well, hold on, wait a minute,
Well,
I think they are on there.
I don't know if Star's on it, but I didn't.
I believe
see.
they are. I believe they
Okay,
are.
well, it didn't work. I went on the website and I put in Westport, I put in Norwalk, and I didn't get any jobs. So
Oh, Okay, well, you know what? If they're not, then I'm gonna get on the phone to Mary Grace and say, why not?
Right.
Which
Well, you can
actually
do
I
it.
am planning to do with all those providers who are not
Sure.
participating. I have a letter ready to go once it gets reviewed by communication department to say, hey guys, what are you waiting for? Everybody else has got these jobs posted
No,
and you're gonna lose out if you don't.
this is perfect for now. Perfect. Really.
And what would their reason be for not signing up and for the program? Why wouldn't they?
I don't know. I'd have to ask them.
Oh,
I have, yeah. I haven't
I
asked
think
anybody specifically yet.
there's probably a lot of execs right now that are, got a lot of balls in the air and maybe they just haven't gotten to it. But I think I don't see any reason why an agency wouldn't want to be a part of this. I mean, it's as they say, it has no downside and only upside. So I think it's really great.
Is Mary Pat, is there a time limited for how long this is going to be available to providers? Is it going to be something ongoing or are we going to evaluate the success?
The job board is going to be ongoing.
Okay.
The ad campaign, the television commercials, radio commercials, billboards, print ads, that will all end in mid-June because of the ARPA funding. But let's remember, we, DDS, the providers, will have all this material to keep it going. So if they know that they're going to be at a job fair somewhere and they want to have the commercial queued up on, a desktop there or something like that, they can use all of this however they want. So, if they want to go to their local colleges, and, the community colleges and make a presentation and try to get people to come to work for them, they can use any or all of this.
and is anything in the works for individual day support? I always
Oh,
ask that
it's
question.
individual day supports in here as well. You can post those positions. Yep.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah. Anything that is direct care.
okay.
Anything else? I will keep you posted. I will get to Eunice the links for everything. And if you have any questions or want an update, I'm always available by email. Just reach out and I can fill you in. Okay.
Mary Pat, while we have you, would you mind giving a real quick blurb on the home share project you're working on as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wear a few different hats now. So home share, as Pat in the past was known as shared living, is a program that DDS has really looked at several times and always seems to get stuck and not be able to really take off. So about a year and a half ago, we decided to use some ARPA dollars to contract with the Deloitte to consult with us and assist us at re-looking at the shared living program, which has now been renamed Home Share. We've made several, decisions on what it would look like. But most recently, we've decided that home share is going to go the path of self-direction. So it's not going to be, it shouldn't be limiting to who and who can't participate in this program. But it will be self-directing dollars will be used, and that form of budgeting and choosing from a menu to pull your services together, that technique is what's going to be used. But we're looking for, we're going to be, looking for individuals who have an idea, have a plan, want to put a plan together, want to put a budget together. But that will probably be in the fall. We'll be at the point where we can maybe do a couple of pilots, but we're still working through things. There's a lot of big questions that still need to be asked that are ethical and programmatic, but we're working through all those. So we'll move forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All righty.
Hey, Mary Pat, one more quick question.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
just rewind back to Karen's question and make sure I heard you right? When she said, does this work for individual day? Does that mean that if it's Karen looking for somebody for her son with a DDS, IDS budget or whatever, not CFC,
No,
she could post as a hirer and do the
No.
same thing? No, okay,
Not-
that's what I,
not on this website. This is strictly for the agencies.
right.
That would be,
Thanks,
you know,
Marina, that
going
clears
to-
it up.
I was
Oh,
suddenly
okay.
going, wait, is that what you just said? And which would be very cool because there's a lot of families in that boat. So I don't know,
Right.
just thought I
No,
would.
I misunderstood because providers do individual day supports as well. So that's where my head was at.
Yeah, I should have said self-determination, individual day support,
Right.
but
You're on mute, Karen.
You muted yourself.
I was gonna say that care.com is the place where I've gotten my people from, and so far, so good. And
Mhm.
they're there.
Well,
They weren't there a few months ago, but they're there now.
Oh, that's
So,
good.
well, I'm hoping that the tariffs are making them work elsewhere. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah. Well, there's another platform called Rewarding Works that is being used, and yeah, so that is for the self-determination side of things. So our job board is for the agencies. So,
Did I see somebody's hand up?
Oh. there you go. Thank you.
Nope, nobody's hands up. Okay. Well, Mary Pat, excellent presentation. I think everybody's excited about the direction with the direct support professional job board, etc. Just one thing on I know GT, by the way, has a resource where it lists for people who I want to say self-direct or hire personally. They have a listing of people that are available. I've never used them, don't know how accurate it is or how not accurate it is, but GT does have that on their resource site that I've been. There we go. The hand is back. Ms. Ramirez, did you have a question?
No, I wanted to help with the GTI because I added in the chat, but from what I understand in the meetings that we've been to in public meetings, GTI has a directory of all their DSPs that agree to be on that directory, and the DSP is able to say, I think if they speak another language or what their skills are, and if you're in the GTI system currently, you're able to access that. Not every DSP is on there. They have to give permission to be on that directory. So you can reach out to them to see if they're looking to work more hours. But they, like you were saying, care.com rewarding work, and GTI has that directory where it's kind of the opposite of the job board. It's a listing of DSPs that are currently doing work that you can filter through, I think, some types, but it's not the EOR that is posting job positions. So it's more of looking at the candidate pools per se, instead saying these are current individuals that are doing this type of work, and then you're kind of picking and choosing and hoping to see if they're available or not. But thank you.
Excellent. All right, Mary Pat, once again,
all right.
Excellent presentation. We appreciate all that you do.
Thank
Very
you.
much. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, my chair's report is very simple. I attended an elder law or special needs conference for most of the day, but it's out of the state of New York. And so just to put GT in perspective, the state of New York is having enormous problems with their fiscal intermediary. Apparently, it's something called a company called PPL. They went from like, I want to say the number was over 200 fiscal intermediaries to one fiscal intermediary, and it's as much of a disaster. Well, in a way, it makes GT look really good compared to what they were saying. So, just want to just point that out, that other states are doing the same thing. They're consolidating with the fiscal intermediary, etc. And everything else was basically about Medicaid and potential cuts in services and monies. It was all about Medicaid money. But you know, the reconciliation, the bills, and you need to get out and advocate to not have people cut. Anyway, that's my chair's report. I will now turn it over to our esteemed director, Shannon, for her director's report. And Marina, by the way, I need to bail out at about 5 o'clock. So you'll then be in charge. You'll have to take over.
I will be prepared for the weighty responsibility.
Okay, all right. I will pass the baton and the torch over at 5 o'clock. I will log off. But Shannon, you're up.
Okay, thank you. So I don't have many different updates from our last meeting, just additional information I wanted to share with you. And I wanted to thank you when I had brought to your attention some ideas on how to get the word out on the supported living housing in Cheshire. So I did share that with Shannon Giacovino, asked her to get that published, as well as Connecticut Family Support Network to get the word out. They have the flyer as well. I know Adriana and Yuri are on the call. I requested that Kevin Bronson work to get that on our Facebook page as well as in our newsletter. In addition, I just attended the Connecticut Family Support Network event the end of April. We had brought some marketing material as well to put out for families and individuals that attended that workshop. So we are starting to see a bump up in the number of referrals coming through. I also had Southington ARC come and do a presentation for the West Region leadership to get the word out. So I'm sure we'll probably soon be overwhelmed with referrals, which will be a great thing. So that's the update on that. So I appreciate all your advice on that. The freeze remains in place. The seasonal positions are getting processed. Direct care staff in our public programs continues to be on hold at this point. We have numerous vacancies. I had expressed that in the past, the concerns for our public programs, just in terms of the amount of overtime and mandations we're dealing with, probably quite similar to what the private sector is dealing with. The strike is still looming over our heads. We're looking at sometime in June. I know there was a meeting with 1199 in the governor's office. That was recent information shared with us, but it still looks like there are some agencies that will be going out. We are going through training. We have a whole dashboard, how our monitoring system is going to be put in place. So we're waiting for, it would be a wonderful thing if everything was resolved, but it doesn't sound like that necessarily is the case at this point. We have the ID Partnership Day up at Camp Harkness that families and individuals are being invited to. There's going to be a series of trainings, food, presenters, tables to get information on different supports and services. Our providers will be up there. So that will be on a Friday. Hopefully it will be a lovely day out. So that's going to be exciting. Each region is sending representatives. We'll have a table for CCH, self-direction, different kind of supports that DDS provides. The RFP, as I've been talking about, we had our proposers conference. The questions have been submitted. They were posted as of today. for the providers to view the responses to any questions they had during those sessions. And we wait now for proposals to come in. They are due on June 13th. So there were 10 homes that were going to be, well, they were put out. One of those homes, I know, Sue, you have special interest in, is the home that will support individuals with tracheotomies. There'll be 4 individuals in that home. It will be staffed with nursing and respiratory therapist on consult. So hopefully we will get an agency that has interest in that, because we do have individuals at the hospital for special care that are slotted to move into that home, as well as there's many others that still we need to get out of there, and they require significant amount of nursing care. So this is beginning of hopefully something that will be moving forward at a faster pace in developing these homes. Obviously, as Karen or somebody had asked about I think it was Sue, about the nursing for the campaign that they're doing now, that is always a concern. Getting nurses for these facilities, we do have trouble with that. We don't have a budget yet. As you probably know, we wait for that. That's basically all I have. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
I do.
Well,
Okay.
okay,
Um,
fire away.
I wanted to ask, for this, home that's proposed for medical, if it gets bid on and accepted and so forth, how long would it take, do you think, before it actually opened?
In general, we say 16 to 24 months. It depends on the provider. Some providers are much quicker and can develop a home a lot quicker. I've seen them happen at a fast pace of 9 months, but I've seen them go well beyond that to the 24-month timeline, because they have to secure the property. And right now, property is tough to find. It has to be a ranch, and then the renovations need to occur. And if they use a third-party company to secure the mortgage and do the development, sometimes that adds additional time in. Where we have agencies that do have those resources, that they have people on staff that can assist with the development and bringing it up to code. That seems to be where the biggest struggle is with the property acquisition.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we don't have a property like we did in the past, some state properties that we could work with, but that's not going to be the case here.
Got you. Okay, another question I have, about agencies that might strike. How many agencies have the potential for striking?
I think the last number was 7. And there was one agency, actually in this region, that does have a no strike clause. So that was a good thing. So they can't go on strike. So, I believe it was around 7, and that can change at any point if they settle and they, come to an agreement on a contract.
So this is not the union, Shannon? This is individual agencies that
Well, it's
whose
the
employees
union.
decide?
Yeah, it's the union that it's $11.99
Yeah.
for the private sector for the homes that are unionized. Some of the agencies that are potential to go on, have a potential to go on strike, do have a lot of homes. Some of the
Right.
bigger agencies, so that is a concern as well. We're looking at contingency plans if they can move people in together if need be, if it becomes a staffing crisis. We're also looking within our public programs if we can help with taking folks on if they run into a jam.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
And
so
if
I'm
this-
I'm hoping it
just-
gets resolved.
Okay, so it's not like a blanket, everybody in the union is gonna strike.
No, just for those agencies, they vote and they make the decision. And hopefully some of them will be able to settle on a contract and then it won't be an issue. But you know, DDS has to do a lot of the monitoring, so that's also a drain on our day-to-day, you know, duties, you know, going out there and making sure that the staffing levels are adequate and everything's okay.
I know that Oak Hill is in that group because one of my sons is with Oak Hill. Is
Mhm.
Oak Hill fully unionized or just some of their homes unionized? At one time, a few years back, I thought they said that they weren't all unionized. Now, the one that my son is, but I was just, is all of Oak Hill unionized?
My understanding was yes, but
Okay.
I may not be off on that. I know there are some agencies that are split, which always was odd to me. It was like a mystery. It just seemed, you know, because usually if they all then would become, but Prime Care was one of those that was split. So that
I think
does
at one time
exist.
maybe Oak Hill was split. Maybe now they're not anymore. I was just curious. I know that's a real big agency, so
Yes.
that
Yeah.
yeah.
And they're all over the state, like in the middle of nowhere. I remember last time they went on strike, I had to do some monitoring and it was way far out there, like in East Heartland. I felt like I was driving for days. So
I have
just
a
that,
question for you, not on something that you just covered, but I just have a question for you. At a place like Hospital for Special Care, does their funding come through DSS rather than DDS for individuals that are within DDS? Is there when they're
so
living at Hospital for Special Care, who's paying for that?
it's insurance, but when if someone wants to exit, they can use money follows the person.
Right.
So then it's eventually, you know, then it's DDS funding. So it's typically insurance. Um, and then we've had a few people that have expressed interest in, you know, and obviously the folks that are interested in going in this group home would be doing money follows a person. So those budgets that they're coming out of a hospital tend to be very high, which is a good thing because then that gives us the ability to put the supports in that we need. And in
Yeah.
that particular home for that budget, I did not indicate a budget in there. And I left it up to the provider to determine where the other homes did have budgets based on individuals' lines and one-to-ones, and the provider cannot exceed those budgets. But for the medical home, that was an open budget. Because it's the first one that we're really doing with this level of care. And the respiratory therapist is another added dilemma because I know we've struggled with in the state trying to hire respiratory therapists. I know a couple group homes that are using them generally contract out and it's, you know, X amount of hours per month.
Right. Yeah, I think Patrick's house, it's contracted, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just
Budget.
gonna, I'm just gonna
Okay,
sign off
thank you.
and hand the baton over to Marina. And
Okay.
Shannon, once again, a great job. I don't know if you're finished, but excellent, excellent. And I think the next meeting, Eunice, am I correct, is not until September.
That is correct. The third Thursday in September.
All right. So I'll see everyone third Thursday in September. And one
See
last
you in
comment.
September, like the
That's
song,
right.
Charles.
There you go. One last comment. My daughter, who's, you know, she lives with her mother, and the mother's part of the union. Just contemplating if her mother went on strike, what would
Oh, boy.
Mothers everywhere have been saying that for years. So, you know.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Everyone have a great great summer. See you in
Thank you.
September.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Chuck.
bye now. All right, bye now.
Shannon, one quick thing about the budget is the holdup. We have to wait and see how much we're not getting from federal, from Trump.
I don't believe so. I don't know. I think, isn't this typical? I think that's
Yeah,
what we
this is
we
normal.
just get.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
we
mean-
just
You mean the state budget, right, Shannon?
Right, the
yes,
state
yes.
budget.
We
So
have to.
that gets done at approximately 11:58 on the last night of the session, after the giant book full of mini changes that no one gets to read gets pushed through at 11:57 on the last night of the session,
Okay,
unless it
that's
goes
good to
beyond,
know.
which happens. So the budget is like the last thing you will see, and it's going to be full of gnarly stuff. But anyway.
I just have one other comment. I see, as I said, Yuri and Adriana are on. The event that they held in North Haven was well attended. It was great to see so many families there. And it was done by I love how they do their interpretation and the bilingual piece. And if you don't mind, can I just put Adrienne for a second to just talk about that? Because it's so unique. I've never seen anything like that before.
We will count that as new business. Go.
Okay.
Thank you, Shannon, and thank you, Marina. Adriana from Connecticut Family Support Network. So this was our third year of, as you may or may not know, everything we support in two languages currently, in English and Spanish, and we support families that speak those two languages. And in the effort of creating an inclusive environment, we wanted to make sure that our One Voice annual conference really truly was 100% inclusive in two languages. So what I mean by that is most times you go to a meeting and they say they offer Spanish interpretation, which is wonderful. But at the same time, anything that is handed out or any slides or anything visual is in English. There's nothing in Spanish. So our event, everything that is written that we provide, that is in written form, someone speaking, or up on a projector, is in both languages, English and Spanish at the same time. So it is completely in two languages. And it's very well received. Our audience feels completely immersed, where you don't even see the interpreters. They wear little earpieces where sometimes you'll see in the past maybe some sports events, you'll see somebody with the earpiece and looks like with a string hanging down, whether they're listening to the radio or they're listening to interpretation in another language, so it's directly in their ears. And it's great because you just hear somebody ask a question in Spanish, they don't look for the interpreter or anything, and then the interpreter's prepared with a microphone to live interpret for everyone. So if someone speaking Spanish asks a question to a presenter, everyone in the audience will hear Spanish, and then the interpreter will interpret that into English, so the English non-Spanish speakers can understand, but the Spanish speakers are hearing everything that's being said live in English. They're hearing it in Spanish in their ears. And it's been a great
That's cool.
success. Yeah, so
It sounds like the UN, how the UN does it, basically.
Yeah. So we work really hard, paying interpretation services, and we get the presentations and translated, and we have two projectors up at the same time. There's one English, there's one Spanish. Everyone's paperwork. If you chose Spanish, all your paperwork is in Spanish. If the presenters do handouts, we have English and Spanish. So everyone gets the information the best way to understand it in their language. So that's the language piece of it, and creating that community. And we heard that a lot from vendors, from presenters, professionals, families, parents, self-advocates. There's representation of all community at our event, and the survey, the comments was feeling like family, feeling connected, feeling heard, feeling seen. It was wonderful because if you looked in the room, you couldn't really tell who was who. There was no significant professional table, or it was really an engaging event, and we were really excited and happy to see that because that's what we, try to do and bring everyone together.
That would be huge at
I have a
PPTs.
question.
That would be
Of course.
huge for the school districts to have that, honestly.
Right.
Well, maybe they start there. They start showing up to our event and maybe they see that it works and it'll move over. Yeah, it
I
was
have a
really
question. Is
Mhm.
with all that's going on with the DEI stuff in the federal
Mhm.
government and the grants that are considered DEI, you don't get your money.
Mhm.
Will you still be allowed to do bilingual things like that under grant money, or would it have to be not under grant money, or what?
Good question. Currently, we have no change in business as usual. We haven't heard anything. So we haven't changed supporting English and Spanish because we don't label it as DEI. It's just part of what we do. And that's what I think DEI started versus being something separate. It should just be part of what is the everyday work versus like maybe a separate thing. And so as far as I know, I haven't heard anything that we have to change. So we continue to support in 2 languages.
Adriana, can I ask, it sounds like,
Sure.
it's just a silly question that just occurred to me. So I
Never
know
silly.
that well, no, I'm showing my ignorance, but there you go. We're all friends here. Sign language, y'all
Yes.
often, I imagine you did that as well. It is named American Sign Language. Is there a Spanish version that is different from ASL?
I
And do
believe
you
there
have-
is.
do you
That's
have
why
to
they
worry
call
about
it
that?
American Sign Language. Yes.
Right.
And
do you have to
didn't.
worry about 2 versions
Yeah.
of sign language as well? Or do you just assume that our sign language is like the universal sign language?
There is a difference, but we currently haven't had a request for ASL at our event because we ask for accommodations to make sure who needs what at the event. So when we get a request for ASL, we will definitely make sure it is there at the event. At our event so far, we haven't had a request of ASL. We did have an individual that spoke a completely different language, a family member that wanted to attend, and she had registered and realized she didn't register her friend that interprets, and I believe it was I don't know which language, but more of the Pacific area. And sometimes people will bring friends because certain languages we just don't cover currently. But there is a difference when they say ASL. That's why it's like the American Sign Language. But I think there are differences between languages of interpretation. Maybe not huge, but I could be wrong. But I do believe there is a slight difference.
So in theory, someone could ask for Spanish sign language. And
In
it
theory,
might be
they
notably
could.
different. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
in theory, but I can confirm that. I do believe there is a slight nuance, but I'll confirm with you because I don't want to misspeak either. I thought I heard it somewhere, someone tell me, but yeah, I don't know if because they call it American Sign Language.
That's what made me
I had
wonder,
heard that
but
there's many variations of sign language,
Yeah.
that even
Mhm.
among Spanish people, it's not all the same. It depends on where you live. Almost like in America, we have regional dialects.
Oh yeah, every country has dialects.
And that
French,
it's the same with sign
Canada, they
language,
all
is
have
what I was
different
told.
dialects. Yeah, every country has different dialects. You can, and I love that you said that about the US because we forget that here we have completely different dialects depending on where you go. You say one word and in the South it could be something different, or in the West it could be something different, even though it's English, but we have just slight little turns
Right.
in
But I was
things.
told
Yeah.
that it's the same way with sign language, that there's
Oh
many
yeah,
variations.
I believe. Yeah, I believe that. That's what I thought I had heard, but I wanted to confirm that, yeah, they do have slight variations and not necessarily is ASL a universal language. Good question.
But the alphabet, I mean, the alphabet is pretty similar, the letters, not necessarily the pronunciation.
Mhm.
The Spanish alphabet has more letters, but if they spell out a word, even
Right,
though
but
that's
there's
much
other languages
improvement.
that have other alphabets, so
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
interesting.
I think that's
So
fascinating.
that's
It
interesting.
is. Yeah, it is interesting to think about how I'm gonna have to go look at some YouTube videos now. I'm curious.
Yeah,
And
Chinese
the
is
only,
a
the thing
letter.
that made, the thing that made me ask is that English is the worldwide language of aviation. So anybody who is a pilot
Mhm.
s- uses English in their piloting, and then it's just like the world decided to do that long ago.
Interesting. Wow.
And so I wondered if sign language had made a similar decision, or if there were actually different sign languages, which complicates the world when you want to offer both hard of hearing supports, deaf and hard of hearing supports, and language supports. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah, it adds another layer for
Yeah, yeah.
sure, for
it
sure.
sounds like you
But
guys had a really successful job. Congratulations.
thank you. We're very excited. And we invite you all next year.
Anything else under new business? Okay, then hearing no others, I'm gonna add on, I'm curious if any of you all attended the webinar, not webinar, but the Zoom call for the about Medicaid. And if you did, I'm curious if anybody found it interesting, useful, not so much. You heard, I'm sure, that the first one on the 7th got we crashed Zoom, and so nobody could, it was just way over capacity. So they rescheduled for the 14th, and anyway, did anyone else go to that?
I did.
All right. Sue, what did you think of it?
Well, I'll just say, since I have an auditory processing disorder, parts of it were very difficult for me to follow.
Yeah,
I'll just say that.
it was, I mean, so, and we'll just be brief, but since we don't really have a discussion about it, but y'all should know it's, it was just getting ahead of potential Medicaid cuts without getting political. What we know that if it does happen as stated in the current version of the budget bill, the continuing resolution, it takes a large hit on Medicaid, which in turn takes a large hit on our families and services that are Medicaid funded.
Did the number 800 billion come up? That's what they're saying.
It was the
800 billion.
Yes, that is the
Oh my
underlying,
God.
that is the underlying premise for which the cuts are being searched for in Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, as well as other things. So this was a hour and 15 minutes, I think, of full on scripted. It was like the Academy Awards. There was a sequence of private providers, individuals, politicians, so we had, and Jordan Sheff spoke.
Jordan Sheff. Yep.
Yep. So Jordan spoke, Matt Lesser, who's one of our party head leaders, Joe, I'm
Courtney.
blanking. Thank you. So various, our politicians, we had somebody from Chris Murphy's office there. So some of it was just a pep talk to say, let's all get ready and be ready to do whatever. And some of it was educational. Here's what is in the works and what it would do. The two most notable right now are a potential for work requirements to get Medicaid, and also additional eligibility requirement paperwork, which is just, it's just yet another barrier. And so that's a troubling aspect of all of this. But anyway,
And then
if
the
another
300 billion for SNAP they want to cut. I mean, it's just, oh my God.
Yeah, it's scary stuff. It's hard to know whether this will happen. So that's the problem, is that it's still in negotiation. It's a moving target. And so will there be pushback? Don't know, but it is worth being prepared for.
There
And
was
to
also
be part of, resisting if needed.
I'm just looking up because I had written some notes on it. That's why I turned my face off to look up at my notes. There was also the Medicaid director for DSS, William Halsey.
Yeah.
And there was also somebody, Connecticut Department of Public Health, Ann Giannette, Amy Porter from Connecticut Aging and Disability Services,
Right.
Chris McClure, who I think was from Attorney General Tong's office.
Tom's office. Yep.
Sarah Egan, Center for Children's Advocacy, Santana Thiaba Douglas, Disability Rights. Oh, that was a personal story. Forget that one. Julie Hall from Birth to Three Kids Steps. I thought she was very good at presenting evidence of why you should keep that program. She was very good at presenting. Anyway, there were a few other people, and there were over 400 people on the call.
There were like the height of it. I saw 440 or something like that, which was great.
See. Oh, they said there were. Well, yeah, there was somewhere in that area. You're correct.
So,
Yep.
so I have my own personal thought on some of this is, first of all, it's always good information. It's always good to see other faces and be engaged and enthused. On the other hand, I also feel like if we're just yelling at each other, I mean, or toward each other, not at, but you
Yeah.
know, you've got a whole bunch of people in the room who, by definition, all agree with each other on this situation.
Right.
We're all
Preaching
like,
to the choir.
this can't happen. This is why it's important. And we're like, okay, yeah, we're all speaking to this, you know, to the same choir. So, what one does with it outside of it, you know, as always, they will say, write to your congresspeople, state and federal, not because they don't agree. In our case, they do already, but because they need the evidence of here's how many phone calls we got about this. Here's how many emails we got about this. That evidence helps them make their case. So
And that
do
seems
not,
to be working, Marina, because if you hear Josh Hawley of all people,
go figure, right?
Josh Hawley on our side, holy crap, right?
He's a state that is a major consumer of Medicaid. So for sure, his bread is buttered by keeping that going. And that's okay. We'll take allies wherever we can get them. Anyway, that's that. Just wanted to see if anybody else had been on it and if anybody had any thoughts. Any other new business from anybody or any old business we need to address? All right. The public has spoken, but the public can continue. Any other things from the public that we'd want to talk about or add? Go ahead, Adriana.
I wasn't sure if anybody noticed while Mary Pat presented, I put in the chat that we're actually hosting DDS next Wednesday from 5 to 6. The trusted messenger, that presentation that she said she presented to schools, we will be hosting that opportunity for audience to come and listen and hear more about the DSP, what that role is. And in the presentation, they will also include a little bit about self-direction, because I know right now the campaign is seems like it's mostly geared for qualified providers, and we have been a big advocate to also include self-direction, because DSP should be across the community and not just a portion. Because there is a large community that also uses the DSP as well. So we've been, advocating and making sure where we can that the self-directed community is included in that, because they're in the same crisis many times as providers are looking for those DSP roles to be filled and be able to utilize their self-direction dollars for their family members, and self-advocates as well are looking for. I know a few that have lost their support person and are looking for someone. So please join. I put the registration link. I hope you'll join us and spread the word. I'll send the flyer afterwards, but it's 5 to 6 next Wednesday. And you'll hear the trusted messenger presentation and opportunities to, get some material to help talk about the direct support professional as a role and get more people interested in looking at that and understanding what that means. Among our support groups and other workshops that we have, those have all been included in the DDS newsletter. So if you receive the DDS newsletter, our flyers are in there as well. The DSP one did not make it, and then you can also look on our Facebook page at events, or if you've joined our email list, then you will get those events reminders through those as well. So I welcome everyone to join us at various types of support groups and workshops throughout the month. Thank you.
Cool. I noticed you wrote mandated reporter. What was that about?
Oh, I didn't lower my hand. Oh, no, when she was talking about trainings and things like that, I was just adding that,
That was a topic.
some of the nuances of making sure certain things are included and understood, because currently what I'm hearing from families, and you doesn't seem like that structure of training, even though PPL back in whatever it was, seemed like there was the training is kind of different between the CFC, the DDS, and it's kind of intertwined, and there's some confusion about training, what that actually looks like or what that is and who does it and which pieces are done. So I was just kind of chiming in things that hopefully are included.
Cool.
Thank you.
I also see you asked if this other backing to the Medicaid thing, if it was recorded. I don't know if it was recorded. Sue, did you hear it? It was on Zoom, so it very well could have been. And they captured emails in the chat.
They said it was recorded, and I know that Molly Cole was leading the meeting,
She
so
chaired
people
it.
could contact Molly Cole about it.
All right.
Thank you. I will.
Any other public participation? All right, then I would take I think we are done with our agenda. I would take a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Sue, any second?
I'll
Karen
second.
seconded.
I'll
All right.
second.
Then I think we are done. Thank you all. And I guess we will all have a great summer and
Meeting
see you in the
September,
fall.
right? Okay, thank you. Good
Have a
job.
great
Thank
Lorena.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.